When our daughter was born, I started sleeping poorly. That's normal for new fathers. People told me it would pass, but it didn't. I woke up every hour, listening to the silence, then fell back into a heavy, dreamless sleep. My wife said to buy a baby monitor so I could hear the baby and stop getting out of bed. I picked the model everyone raved about in the reviews. Digital, encrypted channel, range that could reach the neighbors. I put the transmitter in the nursery, placed the receiver on the nightstand on my side. The first week was a lifesaver. I could hear her breathing, a soft, steady sound that calmed me better than any sleeping pill. I slept 6 hours straight for the first time in months. Then things started getting strange. Around 3 in the morning, I woke up to a short sound from the monitor. Not crying, not a whimper. It sounded like static, like someone dragging a finger across the microphone grill. I looked at the receiver's small screen. The sound level spiked, but there was no voice. I waited a minute. Silence. I rolled over and closed my eyes. Then the monitor said, "Daddy." The voice was a child's, but not my daughter's. She was 8 months old. She couldn't speak. I sat up in bed. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear my pulse in my ears. The receiver was silent. The indicator showed only white noise. "Ellie," I called into the darkness. The receiver echoed my voice back with a delay, like an echo. Silence. I got up, walked down the hall to the nursery. The door was closed, the way I'd left it. I opened it. Ellie was sleeping on her back. Her pacifier had fallen out. The blanket was tangled. The room was empty. I fixed her blanket, went back to the bedroom. The receiver sat on the nightstand. I picked it up, checked the settings. Everything was normal. I lay down, closed my eyes. "Daddy, why aren't you coming?" I jerked upright. The receiver glowed with a green activity indicator. The voice was clear, like someone was standing right next to the transmitter in the nursery. I went back, faster this time, turned on the light. Ellie was asleep. In the same position, the pacifier was still lying beside her. I checked the closet, checked under the bed. No one. I stood in the middle of the nursery, staring at the transmitter screwed to the wall above the changing table. Its little red eye glowed steadily. I went back to the bedroom, turned off the receiver, took out the batteries. The next morning, I told my wife. She said I needed more sleep, that it was hallucinations from exhaustion. Maybe she was right. I bought new batteries, put them in. The receiver worked. 2 nights were quiet. I almost convinced myself I'd imagined it. On the 3rd night, I woke up to the monitor singing. It was a lullaby. Not the one we played for Ellie. Not one I knew. The melody was wrong. The notes shifted to places they didn't belong, creating intervals that made my teeth ache. I looked at the clock. 3:03 a.m. I didn't go to the nursery. I sat in bed and listened. The voice was childlike, but there was nothing of a child in it. It was too clean, too precise, like something that had never heard a human voice before was trying to copy one from an instruction manual. The singing stopped. Then the receiver said, "She's asleep." I took out the batteries, grabbed the receiver and went to the kitchen, put it in a drawer, sat there, clutching a mug of cold coffee, until morning. In the morning, I decided it was over. I wouldn't tell my wife. She was already looking at me with worry. I'd just stop using the monitor. That night I left the receiver in the kitchen. The batteries were next to it. My wife and I slept with the nursery door open. I woke up to someone touching my shoulder. I opened my eyes. The bedroom was dark. My wife was asleep next to me. I turned my head. On the nightstand, where the receiver always sat, there was nothing. I sat up, looked toward the door. The hallway nightlight was on, casting a dim glow. A small figure stood in the doorway. My heart skipped a beat, then started pounding so hard I felt nauseous. The figure was the height of my daughter, wearing the same unicorn pajamas. "Ellie," I whispered. The figure didn't move. It stood facing me, but in the darkness I couldn't make out its features. I reached for the lamp on my nightstand, pressed the switch. The light came on. My daughter stood in the doorway. She was 8 months old. She couldn't walk. She was standing, perfectly straight, feet together, arms at her sides, her head tilted slightly, as if she was listening. And she was smiling. I'd seen that smile 1,000 times. It was her smile, toothless. Why? The one she greeted me with every morning. But her eyes were closed. "Ellie," I said, my voice cracking, "come to Daddy." She didn't move, but her smile changed. It grew wider, too wide for such a small mouth. And then she opened her eyes. They were open. I could see that, but they weren't looking at me. They were looking in different directions. One to the left, at the wall, the other up, at the ceiling. And then she spoke, with a voice that didn't come from her throat, but from somewhere deep inside. From a place where an 8-month-old shouldn't have a voice, she said. "I want to play with you, Daddy," I screamed. I don't remember getting out of bed. I don't remember grabbing her. She was cold. Not like a sleeping child, like a stone that had been left out in the freezing cold all night. I ran into the hallway, turned on every light. My wife woke up at my scream, ran out after me. What happened? I was holding Ellie. She was warm. Normal. She started crying because I'd woken her up. Her eyes were looking at me, both of them, together, the way they showed. I started, and stopped, because I looked at the nursery. The door was closed, the way I'd left it. I hadn't opened it tonight. I hadn't gone in there after putting Ellie to bed. I looked at my hands. Ellie was crying, rubbing her eyes with her fists. She was wearing pajamas, but I'd put her to bed in dinosaur pajamas. She was wearing unicorns. My wife took the baby from me, carried her to the kitchen, started rocking her. I stood in the hallway. Slowly, I walked to the nursery, opened the door. The crib was empty. The blanket was thrown aside, and on the pillow, where my daughter should have been sleeping, the baby monitor receiver. It was on. The batteries were inside. The red indicator glowed. From the speaker, very quietly, came a sound. Breathing. My breathing. With a slight delay. I picked up the receiver, brought it to my ear. And then I heard the voice. It wasn't coming from the receiver. It was coming from the empty room, from the air right in front of me. "You don't need her, Daddy. You have me now." I ran out of the nursery, grabbed my wife and daughter, dragged them out of the house barefoot, in their pajamas, got in the car, started the engine. "What's going on?" my wife screamed. I didn't answer. I pulled out of the driveway and didn't stop until we reached her mother's house 40 miles away. There, in the light of day, I told her everything. My wife didn't believe me. She said I needed to see a doctor. Maybe she was right. Maybe it was psychosis. Maybe sleep deprivation. I drove home alone to get our things. The house was empty, quiet. The sun was shining through the windows, and everything looked normal. I went into the nursery. The crib was empty. I took the blanket and threw it in the wash. I opened the closet to pack Ellie's clothes. On the top shelf sat the baby monitor transmitter. I hadn't put it there. I'd left it in the crib. I picked it up. It was warm, working. From the speaker came a voice. The same voice. Childlike. Clean. Wrong. "I knew you'd come back, Daddy." I smashed the transmitter with a hammer, broke the circuit board, crushed the speaker, burned the batteries in a fire in the backyard. We never went back to that house. We sold it 3 months later. I've never told anyone this story. Until you. Here's why. 2 years have passed. Ellie is healthy. She talks. She walks. She's a normal kid. We bought a new house in a different state. We don't have a baby monitor. No monitors of any kind. I sleep with the door open. Last night I was putting Ellie to bed. She said, "Daddy, can I leave my door open?" "Of course," I said. "Why do you ask?" She looked at me. Seriously. The way only kids do when they're about to say something important. "Because someone knocks on my wall every night. He says he wants to play. He says you promised." I smiled, pretended it was a game. "Who knocks, Ellie?" She shrugged. "I don't know. He says he's my brother. He says you brought him home in a box." I didn't sleep last night. I'm sitting in the kitchen, drinking coffee, staring at the wall of the nursery. The house is quiet, but at 3:03 a.m., I heard a sound. It wasn't coming from the nursery. It was coming from the wall that separates my bedroom from Ellie's room. 3 knocks. Pause. 3 knocks. Like someone playing a game. I'm not going to check. I'm not going in there. Because when we sold that house, I threw away the receiver and the transmitter. I made sure they were destroyed. But I didn't throw away the box. It's still here, in the garage, among all the other things we never unpacked after the move. And right now, as I'm writing this, I hear something fall in the garage. And then a voice. It's coming through the vents. It's coming from everywhere. It says, "Daddy, I found batteries. Do you have a baby monitor? A device that listens to the silence while you sleep. Are you sure the voice that comes through it at night belongs to your child? When was the last time you checked who's really standing next to the transmitter? Maybe you should go look in the nursery right now. Or maybe you shouldn't. Knock. 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 Good night."